My name is Clara Thompson. I am 37 years old, and I live in sunny Sunnyvale, California. My life has always been marked by hard work, long hours, and a fierce determination to make my way up the ladder. I spent almost 5 years working as a manufacturing engineer in a company that specialized in fishing equipment. It was a job I took pride in. I was responsible for implementing new packaging lines, which was fascinating work, and I loved being actively engaged in the process of production. As time passed, I ended up wearing multiple hats, including taking on the role of process engineer when the previous one quit. I poured myself into my job, often working 16-hour days and making myself available around the clock. I believed that if I just put in the effort, my dedication would pay off and I would rise through the ranks. Despite all this hard work, I had one major hurdle in my professional life, which came in the form of my manager, a man I referred to as douchehead. For reasons known only to him, he took an immediate dislike to me. He would frequently undermine my ideas, dismiss them outright in front of my colleagues, and give credit to others for my suggestions. It was infuriating, and my coworkers expressed concern for me as I clocked in those grueling hours, fueled by several cans of energy drinks just to stay awake and focused. But Douchehead seemed insatiable. He only wanted more from me, and it felt like I was under constant scrutiny. Everything changed on the first of the month in 2015. I arrived at work ready to tackle a line teardown, where I would dismantle equipment in preparation for upgrades. As I worked away, I heard strange murmurs around the office. People were being called into human resources, and I felt the buzz of confusion and anxiety spread throughout the workplace. I approached a couple of my work friends, trying to understand what was happening, but no one had answers. Just as I was making my way back to my cubicle, I noticed one of the women from accounting, tears in her eyes, being escorted out while carrying a box filled with her belongings. My heart sank and I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Then it happened. Around 8:30 in the morning, I heard my name being announced in a tone that made my skin crawl. Clara Thompson, please report to HR. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I walked into HR, fighting the urge to wipe the sweat off my palms. There, I was delivered the shattering news of a position elimination. I could hardly process what I was being told. I had never received a negative performance review, nor had I ever been placed on a performance improvement plan. My dedication meant nothing to Douchehead. He had to choose someone from his team, and I had become his scapegoat. The HR representative told me that my job had been terminated effective immediately. They handed me a severance package that consisted of 4 months' pay, only a month shy of my 5-year anniversary. I felt utterly devastated and humiliated. As I was escorted back to my desk to gather my things, I fought back tears. My packaging engineering friend shouted, "This is absolute bull," and I could not agree more as I blinked back my tears, feeling crushed instead of celebrated. To make matters worse, my birthday was the following day. Throughout the day, I learned that the layoffs affected many of my colleagues. There was a wave of pink slips backstage, and I quickly realized that most of the people let go were women. After my own termination, it dawned on me that the conglomerate that owned our fishing company was selling it off, and we were the casualties meant to balance the books. I could not comprehend why I, a dedicated engineer, had been targeted when there were others in far more precarious positions. I was lost, unsure of what would come next. After taking a day to mourn my job loss and drowning my sorrows with friends on my birthday, I set out to job hunt. I was determined to find a position where my input would be valued, and I struck gold about a month later. I found a new job that I absolutely loved, and my spirits began to recover. I was finally in a place where I felt appreciated for my skills and contributions, and I truly began to regain my confidence. Then came a moment that changed everything. Approximately 6 months after starting my new job, my plant director summoned me into his office. This was a casual space that I had come to know well, considering it was located just a mere 15 feet from my cubicle, and the director was someone I respected and enjoyed working with. With a laid-back smile, I walked in and greeted him. "What is up?" His expression shifted as he asked, "Clara, you used to work at that fishing place, right?" I nodded, wondering where this conversation was headed. He asked, "Do you know Douchehead? How was it working for him?" With a smirk of satisfaction, I replied, "He was an okay person, but let me just say, he made a much better bus driver than he did a manager, if you catch my drift." His eyes lit up with understanding, and then the moment I was hoping for arrived. the director placed a crumpled paper on his desk in front of me. It was Douchehead's resume, and my heart raced as realization dawned on me. I felt a rush of energy as the director informed me that Douchehead had been let go on the same day I was dismissed. I had a smile on my face as he looked at me, and then he did something that left me speechless. He unapologetically ripped Douchehead's resume in half and tossed it in the trash without a second thought. "That is all I needed to know," he declared, and my heart soared. I walked out of that office with my jaw dropped, stunned by the twist of fate that seemed almost poetic. Douchehead, the man who had tormented me, had unknowingly planted the seeds of my revenge, and I was feeling triumphant. Life continued as normal in my new job. I finally felt like I had a bright future ahead of me, far from the chaos and toxic environment left behind at that fishing place. Little did I know, the ripples of my experience were far from over. My old colleagues continued to contact me, sharing updates. Most were struggling to find new jobs, but I was thriving, and I couldn't shake my head of that previous nightmare. Months passed, and one day I received an unexpected message from one of my old work friends. She informed me that there had been some rumors about Douchehead resurfacing in the industry as a freelance consultant. The thought made my skin crawl, yet it also filled me with a sense of achievement, knowing that he was trying to get back into a field that he had so carelessly neglected, with me as one of his casualties. I took a breath to steady myself and thought for a moment. My next course of action took shape in my mind, and I was ready to see how far I could push this twist of fate. I decided to act. I reached out to a few contacts I had made in the industry and shared some insights into the negative experiences my former coworkers and I faced under Douchehead's management. I explained that allowing a figure like him to guide anyone in any capacity could be detrimental to productivity and morale. This information, while being shared discreetly, began to create a ripple effect. I can only imagine how Douchehead felt knowing his past failures were echoing in the hallways of different companies. As time wore on, I continued to watch from a distance as one by one, those who had been privy to his tactics came forward, corroborating my claims. Unbeknownst to Douchehead, my network had grown steadily, and I had inadvertently formed a powerful alliance against him, each of us having suffered in different ways under his short reign as our manager. Months later, as I sat in my office, I received thrilling news. Douchehead was rumored to be on the verge of closing his consulting business. It turned out that he could no longer secure any leads because word had spread about his toxic pattern of behavior, and the very people I had reached out to made it their mission to protect their work environments from his influence. For the first time since I'd been dismissed, I felt like the universe was balancing the scales of justice. When the news hit, I could not help but feel a rush of exhilaration. I knew that my revenge had come full circle, and the poetic justice I had wished for was finally at my fingertips. I did not celebrate in an overt way. Instead, I took a moment to reflect on how far I had come. My new job was a flourishing environment where relationships were built upon mutual respect, and I was thriving. I had not only found my footing again, but had become a strong advocate for work-life balance and the true value of collaborative management. As I walked outside to enjoy the sunshine on my face, I took one last deep breath, knowing that the past would never fully disappear. But what I learned was that overcoming adversity can become a greater tool for transformation than seeking vengeance. I had sown the seeds of my own empowerment while unknowingly uprooting the dark past I had left behind. In a twist of fate, I realized I had been given a profound opportunity to rise above the struggles I had faced. And in doing so, I had emerged from the shadows, more resilient than ever, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. The end was a new beginning, and the echo of Douchehead's downfall was a reminder of the power I held over my destiny.